horrifying structure appeared to have drained the land for miles around of its life and vigor. The neighboring lands used to be prosperous and bountiful, but ever since the construct materialized, their inhabitants had no choice but to flee for safety, appearing to be some horrifying metamorphic shape of shadowy black crystalline shards and giant insectous hive. No pony in their right minds would have dared venture anywhere near this titanic structure of black magic. However, inside the crystalline hive, two lone creatures of dark intent, the two who were responsible for the creation of this horrific lair, could think of no better place to reside, and indeed, their names suited the confines perfectly. Two former royals, banished from their former kingdoms for years now by their former subjects. One, Sombra, a shadowy stallion who lived off the terror and tyranny of others, and Chrysalis, a changeling who could take the form of anyone and drain their love from her victims. The former had been mostly destroyed by the magic of the Crystal Heart and the enzymes of the Crystal Empire, but the part of his body, his blood-red horn, remained intact, and he had regenerated himself from the shard. The latter had been forced to flee from her former kingdom after being overthrown by a beloved and kind-hearted changeling whose friendship with a small purple dragon and a pink pony with a purple and blue mane had allowed him and his fellow changelings to undergo a fantastic metamorphosis. Chrysalis was the only one who rejected the change. Two of the most evil creatures in the whole of Equestria, and yet it seems that the two of them weren't completely devoid of affection or love, as long as it was for something as sinister and as symmetric as they were, as in each other. Sombra and Chrysalis were in the middle of what could very digitally be considered some kind of throne room, lying together in a romantic embrace.
It's almost frightening how much I love you, my beautiful Tempest.
Sombra growled softly in affection, playing and nibbling at Chrysalis's wings gently.
And your love could sustain me for a lifetime, my black diamond.
Chrysalis hissed happily, her forked tongues running along her lips as she rested against Sombra's mane.
It tastes so succulent.
What was it you told me about that metamorphosis those treacherous subjects of yours underwent when that pony convinced them to share their love?
Sombra raised an eyebrow, turning his head to look in Chrysalis's eyes.
That description you gave me just made me feel sick just listening to it. It sounds almost as repulsive as my crystal slaves when they became illuminated by the Crystal Heart.
Sombra gritted his teeth in a combination of disgust and anger at the memory of his defeat.
Well, it depends on who you're sharing your love with. And with you for company, dear, I don't think I'll be changing into that gaudy coloring anytime soon. I prefer my looks at the moment anyway.
Chrysalis gave a slight chuckle in jest, but upon laughing, her voice slowly flattened, and her expression warred into a furious snarl.
And that only gives me more reason to take revenge on those treacherous cretins and those ponies who dared to fill their heads with that sappy drivel.
You and I both, love.
Sombra gazed out the makeshift windows that they had created in their lair towards the sky outside. He knew that the distance between them and their foes was far, but when it came time for their vengeance for their humiliation, no distance was too far for them. The memories of their former defeats filled the two black-hearted queen creatures with deep burning rage, and it only made their ultimate desire more palpable. Those ponies, changelings, and dragon who wronged them would pay for what they had done, but especially one. One Alicorn princess was responsible for it all, the one who had unified them together into far greater forces than they could have ever expected. Twilight sparkled. The very mention of the name brought numerous others to mind, that brought forth their deep-rooted rage. It tasted like poison on their lips as they uttered their names. Celestia, Luna, Spike, Starlight Glimmer, Thorax, Cadence, Shining Armor. Them and their companions, more disgusting than the foulest presence to mention. Sombra felt like he was going to be sick when he heard from Chrysalis that Celestia's prized pupil had become an alicorn and had been dubbed the Republican title of Princess of Friendship, as if she was continuing to insult them even after their defeat. Sombra had told Chrysalis of the small purple dragon child who had assisted Twilight Sparkle and delivered the crystal heart to his former slaves, and was slightly embarrassed to admit that he had been bested by a dragon child. But Chrysalis had reluctantly confessed that some second-rate student of Twilight, who she never even considered to be a threat, was the one who convinced her subjects to share their love. But upon hearing about the purple dragon, memories came to her of the purple dragon who had been captured by her former swarm. Before he was confined into a cocoon for feeding, the small dragon was calling for Thorax, tears running down his face as he was imprisoned. At that moment, she knew that the dragon was the one who was responsible for sowing the seeds of tyranny in the mind of one of her changelings, and had resisted the urge to sniff out the dragon's brat's life right then and there. But the dragon was raised by Twilight Sparkle. A quick death was too generous for her and her close companions. Through their wrath, Sombra and Chrysalis knew that they would have to take time to make their revenge as delicious as possible. When they first met, Sombra had demonstrated his powers to Chrysalis, and while she was first horrified at what she saw, when he showed her her greatest fear, her fear changed into similar intrigue as she knew what his powers had manipulated of the shadows, Chrysalis and Pony's deepest fears could hold. A door that exposed Pony's greatest fears with the possibility of keeping them enveloped in their fears for all eternity, as a security device, and dark magic that trapped someone who tried to secure the crystal heart. The changeling admired his cunning and could not see such possibilities with such magic he held. Chrysalis had shown Sombra her abilities in return. Sombra had heard of the changelings and their powers, but nevertheless, he had heard rumors about her invasion of Canterlot during the royal wedding, and it wasn't easy to fool an entire kingdom to the point of draining the love from the group and almost taking over the whole domain. Not to mention, replacing so many important figures with imposters during her second plan. The former king was impressed and looked further delight when Chrysalis told him about her magic-draining throne, already dreaming of the possibilities it could hold if they were crafted again on a greater scale. Both of them were so close to achieving their ultimate goals, and if they came so close separately, if they were together, they would be unstoppable. With each other's help, they had started to regain their former strength, and if it wouldn't be long before they were back to their former glory.
I think we were just imagining the scenario, my dear.
Sombra gave a sly grin as he looked back at Chrysalis, who had the same expression of dark anticipation on her face.
You're dreaming up a way to make our vengeance all the more glorious, aren't you?
Chrysalis turned her head around to rest her twisted horn against Sombra's. It still surprised Sombra that she could turn a full 100 degrees like that, but of course, what would horrify others only excited him. Chrysalis gave Sombra a gentle kiss on the muzzle, hissing gently. Gently licking Chrysalis on the cheek, Sombra gave a low growl as Chrysalis gave a small purr.
They shall soon learn just how foolish they were to think they could have defeated us forever, and Equestria shall fall under our rule once again.
Sombra laughed ominously.
Our strength shall grow soon, fully returning to us. Shall we begin our preparations?
In a moment, Sombra dear. I've only just gotten comfortable.
Chrysalis turned her head back around and nuzzled Sombra gently with her cheek, moving her left leg over his back to stroke him some more.
As you wish, my queen.
Sombra gave a deep chuckle as he intertwined his front legs with hers. It seemed that even those with hearts as black as theirs, they needed some quiet refuge time every now and then.